there is language in our county code that provides 10, 20, or 40 foot buffers, but I'm trying to expand that in the area so that adjacent property owners would have the most buffer between a backyard and the most near structure.
So there are stipulations on those
In some areas it's 20 feet, in other areas it's 40. I'm hoping to expand that a little bit more to maybe 60.
Who makes the determination? How big the buffer?
It's kind of collaborative. The planning department has the set number, but it's okay for us to collaborate with them and ask for more. I've done it in other applications based on community input like this, where we hear these concerns. Even for example, some people don't want landscape buffers, but the county requires it. So there's ways of us identifying certain landscape that could serve as a landscape buffer that would meet both the county's needs and then the adjacent property.
Would it make more sense for connections to just stop until all of these other things are done? You know, what you're doing, and you know, I'm quite sure other people are doing also. Until all of you can get together with us, with the community, and lay everything out on the table. Okay, guys, this is it. This is what we have to come up with. And hey, allow us. I've lived in Kaumana over 40 years. Allow me to have my say.
Yeah, we have to start somewhere. And even the planning department, when they first proposed their conditions of approval, based on some feedback from emails and other residents, they modified it and we got it the day of the hearing. So everybody is working to hear the community concerns and create conditions of approval that help address those concerns, and then have the applicant and the county kind of working together.
Okay, you know, because my main concern is the water rights. Okay, I'm not just, when you go according to, you know, the property level and everything, that's me. I'm not going to pay their water bill. You don't increase my water bill to compensate for them. And what if, and I brought this up in a meeting too, the last meeting. What if, you know, I've got a fire at my house, and I turn on the faucet with my hose, and no water comes out? Believe me, you will have a humongous loss. Because at my age, I cannot afford to rebuild a new home. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Isn't there one of the conditions?
Yeah, another condition, the property has allocated 4,200 gallons of water for the property. Based on some calculations, DOE guidelines, Department of Water Supply guidelines, formula number that they give is 60 gallons per student. So if you do the math, 60 gallons times 70 students, you get 4,200 gallons. However, those gallons of water is based on a number of things a campus has. For example, if they have a gym with shower facilities, or a pool, or a cafeteria, all of those units of water is kind of calculated into what a student needs. Some of those things are not proposed at this site. And I understand that that's not the goal of the site for some of these things. So those numbers can be adjusted. But again, that information gets fed into the water department, and we let them, with all the engineers, figure it out, and then come back and tell us exactly what we need. So, it might come down to 40 gallons per student, but all of that has to be fed into the water department. So if the water department says, we've evaluated your calculations, and you guys can only have 100 students based on the water count, that's it. And then the conditions of approval state that the applicant would need to develop their own water beyond that.
He talked about the water catchment. It doesn't make sense because we're not that county. Okay, and for 40 years I've been living here. Okay, each year we get investments. So no way will their tank be filled. And you know, it's a concern for me because I'm a retired teacher. I love kids. And you know, I'm not trying to take anything away from them because I do believe in education. But I gotta think of myself. Okay, and I have a handicapped person, physically handicapped. Hey, I cannot just, if the fire comes, I cannot just, hey, come on. You know, I can't do that. And I am the major caregiver. Jason and Jen can attest to it. Okay, sure, my husband does a lot of stuff. But when he panics, okay, I'm the one who has to do it, right? He had his heart attack. I'm the one who carried him to the hospital. So, you know, I'm thinking of all of those things. May seem as though I'm being selfish. But I need to think for myself as well.
No, and we appreciate the feedback because that helps us collaborate better with the planning department and kind of get these guidelines tight and help the community, help the surrounding property owners, but also hold the applicant accountable to the promises that were made.
Because when Donald Echea came to the November meeting, he brought up the fact that everything they promised, they never followed through on it. This is why Donald was totally anti. Okay? And I can understand it because he was representing all of us. And he heard all about the things. Okay? And so the thing is, you know, I know there's two sides to a coin, but to me, at this point in time, the community has to come first.
I appreciate you being here. This is very valuable. Thank you for being my
Do you have another question? I have several questions.
You can ask me.
I don't know. I can't hear what you're saying, but anyway, here's my first question. So, the gentleman was talking about how narrow Kaumana Drive is at the intersection of Aziza and Kaumana, and he said that basically my understanding is that the county is kind of responsible for setting terms and conditions, yada yada yada, all that kind of stuff. But before the planning commission ordered you guys to order Mr. Thatcher to communicate with Mr. Rohanti, your plan was to have the entrance point be at Kaumana and Edita, correct?
Off of the district.
Off on Kaumana, entering into Edita.
Correct.
But on your plan, there was nothing, no indication of an attempt to purchase property or anything in order to make that intersection wider at Kaumana, because it stated that you're going to have a turning lane, but how are you going to squeeze a turning lane on that skinny little portion of the road?
The property runs an area in the street where the right of way is 40 feet. The area that you're speaking of, I don't have the exact measurements, but it's about 300 feet. So the area in front of that property has a large enough right of way to create a open lane.
So you're going to use the county right away to incorporate a turning lane.
That's what the county is asking us to do. Yes.
The county is asking you to do this, or that's what you're planning to do? Because the county isn't asking you to let the county use the county's right of way in order to accommodate a left turn lane for your school. The county is saying we have to have shoulders X amount of feet wide. You guys want to put in a turning lane, you're going to put in a turning lane. Where's it going to go?
They will get the county right of way.
So there will be no county right of way, there will be no shoulders on that portion of Kaumana where it's going to be connecting to Edita, correct? That's what you're saying right now?
Yeah.
I think the answer.
I'm talking
And I
about
think if
Kaumana.
it's
more important.
I think the county would say that. The county would come and say, you need to put in.
Okay, that's not my question. My question is, you waiting saying, oh, we're waiting for the county to tell us what to do, but you had this plan on the maps for, I don't even know how long, years and years.
4 years.
But you're not making any kind of proactive attempt to secure the property on either side of Kaumana in order to accommodate the left turn lane. You're waiting for...
Actually, we have done proactive things. We have done traffic studies. We have talked to the county.
I'm coming up to the traffic study too. I know all about that traffic study. Okay, so skinny Kaumana, county shoulders gotta be there for whatever reason. Skinny Kaumana, now you're gonna try and squeeze in one more turning lane. You have also not indicated any desire to put in any kind of signalization. In fact, at the meeting that was at Kaumana School, I believe Mr. Thatcher specifically stated, no, we're not going to put in any traffic lanes.
Because what we're told by the county is we don't need one. That one doesn't need to be put in.
Who in the county told you that?
I can't tell you exactly offhand, I'm not sure. But we have been in communication, and if they think we need a traffic light in, then we'll put a traffic light in. If they're telling us no, that we don't need one, then, or if the traffic going is not sufficient, then we don't need one.
So I'm hearing you say you're going to do the minimum that the county demands, not what the neighborhood says.
Well, no, actually, one thing is, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, is the community was concerned about a sidewalk going from Kaumana Drive to the property on Edita Street, a sidewalk inside Edita Street.
You're wrong.
No.
She's concerned about the intersection of Kaumana and Edita.
Right, but I'm actually, what you're saying is that we're going to do the minimum, and we're actually taking what they're telling us what the minimums are, but we were at a meeting where the community had concerns about the sidewalk, and we went saying, hey, we'll pay for a sidewalk to be put in, or we'll pay for that turning lane on Edita Street. So that's where I think what Sue was saying, the collaboration is between the two. So we're coming back and forth. These are concerns the community has. What are the concerns for the county? What are we willing to do? And I think it's a collaboration with the three. That's what I
say
think.
collaboration. I hear you kind of throwing out red herrings and avoiding them.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Back to my question. So, my understanding is now, the county says there's no need for a traffic light, so you're not going to put in a traffic light, and you're not you have made no proactive attempt to secure property in order to widen Kaumana at where it meets its easement.
As of today, we were not informed by anyone that we need to do that.
Right.
Right. So up until today, the collaboration with us in the county has not, we haven't came up and said that that's even in the...
My question is not collaboration with the county. My question is, did you do anything proactive? Did you go and say,
We've
hey,
been talking.
we want to buy your property because we're planning to put in a school, we're going to have a left turn lane over here, we need to widen the road, can we buy your land? No.
We have not, because the county has not told us that that even is going to be an issue. So I don't understand. I guess what you're saying is we should, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we should have went out and bought the properties around the intersection.
Have you driven up Kaumana?
I go there all the time.
Okay, so
Yes,
the road is very
I actually
narrow.
live there.
There
I
is a
just
lot
moved.
of traffic on an average day. You're putting in a school. What she's asking is, have you thought about what traffic on Kaumana is going to look like without a turn lane, without a way to get into Adida? This has nothing to do with Adida. Adida is lovely and wide. We're talking about Kaumana.
Yes, and that's why we've done traffic studies and asked those specific questions.
At 7:45 on a school day? Because
When-
there is a
when the-
school
and
less
it
than a
was
mile
when the
away.
Seniors were not in school, so they weren't driving.
Well, come
Seniors
on
are
now.
not
I mean,
driving,
come
right?
on. Now I'm trying to tell you all of that, and you're just...
But what we're
That's
telling
not
you
true,
is
because
you're-
our traffic guy, we flew him from Oahu to come and do a full traffic study 1 week, if I'm not mistaken. He did a full comprehensive study, which, from what I understand, had nothing to do with the Hilo County guys, the Hilo traffic, but then two of them said the exact same thing at the planning commission meeting.
that putting two elementary schools right next to each other will not be a traffic concern on a
Yes,
little skinny road.
you were at the planning commission. You heard them say, both people say, that the traffic studies
Wait,
that were
The
done,
people that you hired as consultants told you what you wanted to hear.
the county traffic
Okay.
guy said that.
Okay.
Not the guy that we hired. The
Then
county
we-
traffic
then
guy
we
was
need to
called
check
up
with
by
him.
the planning commission, and he's the one that said that. He's the one that said he's done all of the studies, and there is no need for any traffic light, for any turning lane on Kaumana, that they overfluffed it to 200 vehicles, and said that that's not a large enough impact to do anything. The county guy said that, not us.
Okay.
Who is that?